And I had a chance to sit down with Bob and learn all about the activities that are going to go on. So Bob, you're one of many cities along the path of totality that's going to be covering the eclipse. What is Southern Illinois University going to be bringing to the table?
So quite a bit. This is a really large area here in Southern Illinois, and the university is about 6 to 7 miles from the point of greatest duration. We're setting up a lot of different venues here. We've got venues that will be open to the public leading up to and the day of the eclipse. We're going to try to enhance people's experience when they come here.
Now, we're expecting millions of people, not just in the United States, but from around the world to be flocking along the path of totality, from Oregon all the way down to Charleston. How are you going to deal with all these crowds coming to Carbondale?
That's a really good question. So what we've been doing in our planning is we've been planning for what we think we can handle on campus. We're working with the city. The city's doing some of their own planning as well, but we're trying to tie it together so that it works well. But give the people who are coming here a place to go. Let them, in some cases, reserve tickets for some of the venues so that they know that they have a spot. We're working with the hotels through the area, and as well as with the state property, the parks, the state forest, the national forests. There's a lot of people from those organizations today to take part in planning.
Are you going to offer programs for your students to be able to do any scientific research with the eclipse next year?
The main one here is the Citizen Kate experiment. Okay. And that one, as you can see, we have one of the telescopes here today from that. We got involved in that a couple years ago while it was still being formed somewhat. I was working with Matt Penn, who's the PI of that project, and I went with one student from SIU to Indonesia. I went with a physics undergraduate named Sarah Kovac.
Okay.
And Sarah's leading a good-sized group of students here. They'll be doing a workshop here at this conference tomorrow and continuing this through this eclipse as well as beyond, we hope.
Now, you were over in Indonesia to view the last eclipse, which was back in March of this year?
March 9th, 2016, yep.
So what are some tips that you can give to the general public who may want to see the eclipse, or if they're outside the path of totality to see the partial eclipse, that may help them out?
So the eclipse is big. That was one of the things I didn't understand. When I saw it in the sky, it was a lot larger than I expected. You've got this full moon and you've got a corona, and that corona looked to be about twice the diameter of the sun. So you don't need a telescope to see that. You can see a full moon naked eye, and you can see that corona naked eye, and that's the only way you can see the corona. There's a sunset effect that you get 360 degrees around you, so if you have some open space anywhere around you, you can see that sunset. If you have a lot of open space, if you're up on a high elevation, the sunset's all around you. And that sunset, those colors fade in and fade out. For people who are nature lovers, you've got all these cool sounds coming in, like the frogs, the crickets, all the animals that come awake at night come awake during an eclipse. And it gets pretty loud. In Indonesia, that got very loud where we were at. We had tropical birds just going crazy around us. And then depending on the place you're in, like for Carbondale, we're gonna have the crowds here. I'm really excited to see this with a large amount of people, to hear the roar of the crowd, to see the reactions of the people. The partials, eclipse glasses are great, projection methods are great, and as you get close to totality, those high percentage partials, like say a 90% partial, when that light comes down through the trees or through a hole, like a pinhole, or even you can hold out your hands and you can see the diffraction patterns on the ground. You can see little shapes of the eclipse on the ground as you get to 90% and above. Wow. So there's lots of cool things kids can do during the partial as long as they're supervised. If I had some advice for people who are going to take pictures of the partials with proper filters. That's great. That's a lot of fun. You've got like an hour to do that in. But once totality hits, you really need to be looking at totality and just enjoying it.